You're gonna have it afterwards. Okay, so we are session 12. It's all about the relationships, right? That's a big one for sure. Question for you: did you take all the sessions prior to that so far, like 1 to 11, or?
I missed 2 classes.
Okay. But did you?
I think I missed 3 because that was the week I had to have physical exams for me and my son.
Okay, and
There are
did
new
you?
generations. What we're speaking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you read the manual in between? Just kind of catch up. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So that's great. I'm just gonna this one. Okay. So as you can see on the flow of the Ignat session, we are on the lead follow-up section, right? That's pretty much the money making session right here. Really, how you go about your business, right?
Right.
So we're gonna go, over a few of those topics today, and we'll make sense of the script. Because sometimes like you read it and they're like, okay, but what does it really mean? Like, how do I bring it into practice on a day-to-day, right? So do you mind reading that? Yeah.
Know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action.
Gary Keller, the Shift book, right? And I do recommend, you can either read or, get or borrow. I'm not sure if, you ask Simon, Natalie, if they have those books to give out.
Okay.
Definitely should be on your agenda for sure. There's the MREA, the Shift book, the one thing, whatever, KW has, for sure you want to put on your to-do list, right? Thanks for joining. So back to what Gary is saying. If you want to grow, you need to have a plan.
Need to what?
To have a plan. You need to follow some kind of a plan, right? Because it's even if it's not going to come as fast or as powerful or as immediate as you hoped for or wanted to, you're still one step ahead of most because you have a plan that you follow, right? If you don't have a plan, you have zero clarity. It doesn't matter what you aim for. It's going to be, all over the place, right? So can you explain to me, you see this chart, have you seen this before? This chart before?
Yes, I think it was on the last step.
Yeah. So, by the way, have you been in all the sessions so far, or you missed a few?
Many, yes.
Okay, and did you at least read? No? So just do your best to kind of go back and read on the manual, like whatever you missed, or like everything will make sense, like the flow of the sessions and like how to, okay, this session is great, but am I missing something? Because, right, just kind of to keep aligning that. Okay. So again, the flow of it's real estate. If you treat it as a business like we do over here, yeah, it's like a formula, right? And when you put all the pieces together, then it makes sense. So that's why go back and read everything again and make sure to you understand everything. So so this is the from the MREA book, right? What we consider the lead generation model and database model, pretty much, right? So when you build your business, if you're focusing on that structure in a sense of this is how I'm going to fuel my business, and that's really what it is. Why? Because everything comes from here. You can't really have a successful business if you don't have buyers and sellers. You follow me?
Yes.
So this flow chart pretty much shows you also the side of you can see like the lead gen part, right? You went over it in the first part, the first 5 sessions of Ignite about how to generate these leads, right? Sphere, friends, clients, etc. Like you want to generate those, and that goes into that database. Database is a data bank, right? That's your fuel tank. So now, what's the difference between leads and contacts? What's the difference between leads and contacts?
Leads are warm, people that are interested in buying or selling, or actually have contacted you, or you have met them somewhere, you know that they're in the market.
So you kind of merge both in one sentence, which is correct. But if you have to break down the difference between leads and contacts, and you see leads comes first and then contacts, right? So what is a lead? What is a contact? How
So we
differentiate?
don't know. A leader,
A lead?
we do not know.
Okay, yeah, pretty much. Okay. So a lead can be any kind of engagement that someone reach out to you, and your job is to make sure to convert the lead into a contact. Okay. Now a lead comes in. You know, you can have the person's name, phone number, email, address, what have you, but you don't really know the intentions, right? You don't really know what their story is, who are they, what are they trying to achieve, what is the situation, etc. So
I'm trying to process this
Sure.
because Michelle has me on a list of contacts. And so the contacts, as I call these people do not know me.
okay,
But in the process of talking to them, I think I've gotten through 140 so far. Maybe 4 of them, well, one of them I referred to her, but 3 of them, I asked them, do you mind if I stay in touch with you? And they said
Yeah.
yes. So those become contacts.
correct. What you get is a list of leads, right? Now it might be her contacts, or I'm going to give you my contact list, and you don't know them. That's going to be leads for you. And I want you to differentiate that philosophy, all those terms, just for you to make an effort to convert the lead into a contact, right? So, you know, we went to SoFi, to a takeout top producers, right? And run into you,
Yes.
remember?
Yes.
And I had this conversation like, what's about that? And like, oh, I'm also licensed with this company, great. That was a lead.
That was the
A
lead.
lead. In order to convert that lead into a contact, we will have more of a in-depth conversation, like what's the story, you know, what I'm looking for, how can we help them together? So that became a relationship. And then eventually it came into, like if you go into a listing appointment, it's going to, okay, I'm ready to sell now, I'm ready to make a change now, yes, join us, or let's list the house. It's a mindset, it's a practice. Okay? So, and that's important piece, because if you understand that, you're not gonna skip steps. And in business, what we've learned is if you, not intentionally, but if you skip steps, then you're missing an opportunity, number one. Number two, you probably won't be able to capitalize to get the best outcome of the situation, the relationship, or what have you, because you skipped a step. So here, you meet a person, great. Then how can I make them a contact? Because that leads to the whole, you know, the whole repeat business, making a client for life. We'll touch that in a second. Okay? Talk about the 6 questions, etc. So, and here it says, leads, you have the right to have one-way conversation contacts, two-way conversations, right? Value-based relationship. There's right now, there's connection. It's different. Okay? Then we go to the next step, which is conversion, pretty much. You know, really supposed?
Focus on building relationships and take market share.
Right? So, I mean, it is a contact sport, right? Contact business, because the chances to get a random lead online and not really have any conversation for them to buy or sell with you, that knowing who you are, what you do, etc., are very close to zero. Right? You gotta establish some kind of relationship that they will know who you are, what you can do for them. They need to trust you, vice versa. You need to make a decision that, do I want to work with this individual? Right? Because you can invest a lot of time, energy, resources in the next, you know, 30 days to whatever, number of months ahead with this individual, right? It's a two-way investment, right? So focus on building relationships. That's how you take the market share. So can you see from there? Clear?
Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, put them in your database and stay in touch with them forever.
Mhm. Right? So it's not necessarily, go ahead.
Staying in touch with them, it has to do with the touch point.
We'll get into that in a minute, correct, yeah. That's a leverage technology, right, or leverage system. It gives you like an idea, it's like, how do I stay in touch with them, or when do I do this, do that, what do I say? There's a plan for that, there's a system for that, right? But yes, I mean, because think about it for a second. Someone, let's say, looking to buy a house, right? If you know exactly what you plan, then you know roughly are they right now buyer? Are there 1 to 3 months? Are they 3 to 6 months? Are they like more than 6 months? Or someone bought a house, so should I just totally forget about them? Or when they need to sell the house and buy another house, they say 7 to 10 years. Honestly, it can be even 3 to 6 years, right? Because you're not even well enough to understand their intentions. I have friends that moved out here from Michigan, and they want to buy a house in a specific area, couldn't afford, bought a house in Long Beach in a great timing, right? They had a baby and they plan to have more kids. And that house, became, small, too fast, right? And not just that, also the husband had a job and the commute just became too intense. They wanted to sell the house after a year and a half, right? I didn't let them because of tax purposes. So a year later, so 2.5 years into it, then we sold the house. So they got the tax benefits, the overall deduction, 500,000, married couple, and then they bought a bigger house, much closer to work, better schools in the area, etc., etc. So it can happen faster than you think. Now, if I would totally, ignore them, didn't stay in touch, happen to be a close friend, but still, there's a lot of people out there and not even practicing real estate as much as you are, right? I just go by whoever's reaching out to me pretty much, right? So think about the value. Think about the value. So you always want to stay in touch, but it can be immediate, it can be years ahead. That's how you build the funnel of business, right? So that's the mindset. So going back to the lead conversion and that model, going back to the MREA, and again, I highly encourage you, don't own the Millionaire Real Estate Agents, the MREA book, the red book, get it. Okay, that's probably going to be one of your best investments. Yeah, buy it, read it. It's kind of, if you break it down to pieces, it's easier to digest. But it really teaches the basics. And of course, we started to teach during the team meetings, right? If you hear live, if you watch the recordings afterwards, and then Simon leading those like MREA moments, it's kind of piece by piece.
Yeah, it's like a reference book, isn't it? That you always go back to.
Pretty much, it's a call it a manual. It's a guide, it's a manual,
Yeah.
right? To how to. So you guys need to understand in high level because that's really the bottom line practice. And other companies, by the way, teaching from them already. So it's really just the most kind of best well put together manual, if you may, for real estate, right? And we spoke about that, right? See the piece of the lead follow-up until lead conversion can take years. years. That's why you want to have a plan in place. Convert contacts to closed business. So let's talk about that, right? About the mind share positioning. So, and I'm not sure if you guys in the past kind of went over those kind of things, right? Do you, those stats are from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, right? Sellers, they will interview one agent, the majority, like 74%. Okay, and then you have maybe two agents that you're going to interview, and then the rest. Buyers, about the same percentages, like one agent. So when you're thinking about it, right? You really need to get this like one-time face-to-face time in-person meeting with this individual who's looking to buy or sell, and you have 75% chances to be the person that they're going to use for their next purchase or sell, right? So, and that's why, we say stay top of mind. Like, how do you position yourself to be that person? Make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, again, but if I had to ask you, how do you think you keep, stay like top of mind of those individuals?
Drop them a note in the mail.
Okay. So like some kind of a note campaign, right? What else?
Is it something like you can acknowledge them on their birthday?
Absolutely. Like so like celebrations, right? Or dates for specific anniversary, birthdays, right? Kids' graduation right now, you see it all over social media, they're celebrating, right? What else?
Newsletters.
Okay.
Maybe a monthly newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And email contact, or just to telephone, just drop. If you have the birthday or something, you can call them up and wish them happy birthday, or just say, hi, I'm Donna. This is Donna, just calling you to see how things are going,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day, Happy Father's Day, or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's easier. It's easier when you start. You know why? You don't have as much contacts in a database when you first start. Mm-hmm. So you can practice heavily on a regular basis. So if right now I'll have to ask you, how many contacts do you have? Not leads, not like random people that you heard about them, they heard about you, or they send you an email, but you never had some kind of a connection. So you're gonna say, let's say maybe 50 contacts, maybe 100, that's fine. So break it down. If you can talk to 20 every day, in 5 days, you're done. In 1 week, you're done, talk to all of your contacts, right? Mm-hmm. So it's easier to practice this, to build the business fundamentals properly when you first start. And what happens to a lot of people in this industry, they don't really have those kind of sessions to show them like how to guide them how. And then they wing it. They're figuring out how to do this and that and whatever and sell. And they might be very successful, but it's not purposeful. And years down the road, they're like, oh my God, I should do like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the business go from here to 10x, right? When they're going from 250 income to 500 and then to $1 million, just because they have systems in place. So, but it doesn't have to take you 10 to 15 years to get there. Mm-hmm. You can do it much shorter time if you're going to be very, very purposeful and systematic, right? So let's talk about one of the some of the systems of the plans that we're talking about. And by the way, there is one thing, I know it's I'm going to skip one slide before I'm going to go back afterwards. Talking about the 6 connection questions. That was in a previous session that we had, if you remember. Yeah. Right? Anybody want to remind us what the 6 connection questions are? Yes.
Okay. Who are they? Number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2, what do they want or need to do? Number 3, where do they want or need to do? Number 4, why do they want or need to do it? Number 5, when do they want or need to do it? And number 6, how do they plan to do it? So who, what, where, why, when, and how.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So used to call those the W questions. Now we changed to like six connection questions. Again, you see that how purposeful this is, right? It's like if you want to connect, there's those 6 specific questions, right? But I mean, think about it for a second. If you really, meeting someone, you ask them all those questions. By the way, you can go much deeper, right? Someone you ask someone about whatever one of those questions, they tell you, I need to move because to this specific area because the schools, and I need to do it by this time because my lease is expired right now, so I'm a first-time home buyer, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then you can go even deeper. Okay, so how many bedrooms do you need? Well, like 5 bedrooms. Okay, why do you need 5 bedrooms? Like I wouldn't ask, how many kids do you have? Because then it might come like as a judgmental or like, whatever. So it's left. Maybe I'm a single person, I just want to have 5 rooms, who cares, right? But why do you need 5 rooms? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Oh, great. Okay, got it. So you're thinking ahead. That's great. Okay. And what if we cannot find a 5 bedrooms house for you in that price point in that area? 4 will be fine as well. Can work. Yeah, I think we can make it work. Okay. What about backyard? Is it important? Because you already told you about kids, this and that, and whatever. Pool, no pool. But why? You want to ask so many questions to qualify the client, not financially, but qualify them on their intentions and what they really want. So once you get to the part where but you're actually looking for property for them, you know exactly what they're looking for. So you're not gonna waste your time and their time seeing things that they won't need to, won't be able to qualify for, or they're gonna be upset with you because this is a gorgeous house, exactly what I want, but it has 3 bedrooms. I need at least 4. I compromise on 4. I want 5, but 4 gonna work for me. So don't do that. Make sense? Or buyers not necessarily know exactly what they want because they need to go there, that specific area, the zip code, school, but they cannot even afford it, right? And by the way, I know that as a new agent, sometimes we get a sense of fear of loss. We don't want an opportunity or a client, especially for the first time, or we don't really have them as often. And it's a compliment that someone want to use our services because it's a sense of like they trust us, they see some value in us, and we want to prove ourselves to them that we can do it, right? Versus rejection. Rejection never feels good. So be careful by taking someone, asking all those good questions, and then taking them around town, day and night, weekends and everything, and you have no idea about their financials. So the first step after making the connection to convert the lead to a contact is ask. So not are you. So try to avoid as much as possible yes and no questions. Right? Those are like dead end questions. Ask a question that you need to get some kind of a response, right? So I would ask, so how much are you financially qualified for or pre-approved for, right? I won't ask, so are you pre-approved? Yes, no. Oh, yes, sure. Okay. Now I'm kind of, can you show it to me? Ooh, why are you asking me that? Don't you believe me? Right? So how much are you qualified for to purchase? What's your loan amount? I would not say, listen to this. I would not say, how much can you afford? Like how much what's your max price? I would ask, what's the max loan amount you are approved for? It's a big, big difference. Okay, that's a professional way to ask the question, right? Because that will lead to the next one that, you can say, okay, I'm approved up to, most of them will say, oh, I have no idea. Or they're gonna say, oh, I can buy up to like, 850. Okay, great. Before the next question, then I'll say like, okay, great. So based on how much down payment, right? Because you want to be the smarter one, ask the right question. Also gonna show that you're knowledgeable. Because if this is like I'm up to 850 and how much down payment is gonna say 20%, so like you roughly know how much cash you need to see in your reserves, in the bank, etc. Right? That's 85, that's what 170, right? So or if you're gonna say up to 850, great. Then we're gonna ask, right? Great. Who's your lender? Who did you get approved with? Because I would say I know almost. I mean most of them out there. I don't, but it doesn't matter. I do know that the Bank of America, Citibank, whatever, Chris River, So, but I come off as knowledgeable, and they're gonna say. I went online and did the automatic whatever. Great, okay, perfect. Well, to my point, because we can go that rabbit hole for hours. To my point is, you want to make sure. I'm not going to reverse it. I'm working with you, but you thinking about getting your license. You're not licensed yet. And you don't really know what the rules are because you're not a realtor. You joined the board, you didn't talk to anybody, you starting to get your license. I wouldn't know that as a client. So I want to also make sure that you're legit. Vice versa, I'm going to work on with clients, with buyers that are willing and ready. You're going to hear that at some terms, willing and ready. Willing is like they have the right intention, they know what they want, they have the right reasons to go and purchase a house. Ready is mostly financially, right? So if the person is not financially ready, you're going to waste your time.
Yeah. I have a real situation where my neighbor, Chris, and was pre-approved, and they're bringing in about $10,000 a month, but they were on a spending spree. They have no money saved up. So it's a waiting game now. They have to start saving rather than buying $2,000 treadmills and stuff like that to put in a small little townhouse apartment. They need to be saving money.
100%. And it's your obligation, by the way. That's what I'm saying. If you don't own a property, you want to figure out how you can own one yourself. Well, I'm not saying before you're gonna help other people to purchase their own property, but figure out what's the path, right? You living too large, you need to live smaller, you need to cut expenses. How can I save more? Reverse engineering, do 2.5% down. Make it at 5% because you can have other expenses. But let's say 5% down out of whatever purchase price eventually. That's where you want to be. Okay, how can you get there? And remember, if you are full-time agents, then you are self-employed, it's going to be a bit harder to qualify to get a loan. If you have some kind of job, steady paycheck, then it's easier because you have some income because the lender is going to look at the debt to income ratio, right? If you're self-employed, it's harder unless you have the 20 to 25% down. That's not a problem. Okay, like an investor, you put more equity so the lender has less risk by borrowing you all the rest of that 80% or 75% equity in the house, right? But be the person that, okay, have a plan. How can I own my own property? And when we go through the process, right, then you understand. Then you can tell the people, tell them, share your story. Hey, 2 years ago, I was exactly where you at. And this is what I did, right? That's why I'm very passionate about helping other people because of 1, 2, 3, 4. So come from that place versus like, I don't know how to, etc. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Having a story helps to connect with people in a better way as well.
It does.
So, other questions about that? Yeah, so make sure again to, your obligation to convert type of obligation, you need to be purposeful converting leads to contacts. So if you know exactly who those are, what they need, why, when, where, etc. And then there's also like personal relationship, right? Like they want to work with you. They need your sense of guidance. Now those are some ways, right, to say communicate with your database. Used to call them drip campaigns, touch campaigns, etc., etc. There's multiple ways. So one of them is the 19 to connect, and then you have 36 to convert, right? So the first one is like make that connection, right? Let's say it's a lead. You got the lead in an open house, and you call them on a Monday, didn't pick up the phone. Try it again a week later, didn't respond, right? Then what? You just drop it and give up?
No, it could be maybe they work at the time that you called.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, on last Wednesday, I called about 60 people but it was between the hours of 2 and 5. Most of the calls, no answer, recording. But then the next day, I started calling between 4 and 7. I got almost everything.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So if people ask me, when is the best time to call? I say, whenever you're available to make phone calls. When is the best time to door knock? Whenever you're available to door knock. Okay, you can always change it up, right? Because you might get this like one person at 9:45 a.m. phone call or door knock that she's ready to sell. And 5 o'clock, she never picks up the phone because she's a porter, right? Who knows? So yeah, you just have to be consistent. But that shows you pretty much that there's 19 touches, to touch a person, ideally to make those connections, right? We used to call the 36 touch. Now they call it 36 to convert, right? And that's by the way, that's like an annual plan. And if you're gonna go, I'm not sure if it's showing over here. Oh yeah, you see, anybody here using command? Anybody with command a little bit?
I looked at it, but I'm not using it.
Okay, not yet. A little bit. Okay, so it can be your best friend or a stranger, right? So play with this. When I first started with KW, we had the old system, E-Edge, that had similar campaigns, but it was an older system. Nothing was bundled. It wasn't like all those the panel, the contacts, social media, the drip campaigns, the designs, none of it. So this is just brilliant because it's too much. It's too good. You have your cell phone, but what do you really do with your cell phone besides making phone calls, take pictures, and going like some of the apps, social media, etc. Really, are you using it for anything scientific, or do you measure walls? Not really. Most of us use like maybe using not even 10% of this phone capacity where they can really do the service if we were to use it for something else, right? So even though once you're going to get deeper in the game, then you have emails. You're going to use maybe Google Sheets and Docs and presentations and whatever. So you can do way more with that device. Same thing over here. Take advantage of it. Don't be afraid to utilize it. If you came from a different company, you have different servers that you're utilizing, that's fine too, as long as you utilize something. The cool thing over here, everything's already built in. All these campaigns, like you see, the shows like 8x8, right? Bi-weekly. It doesn't show over here the other ones that We just saw the 36, but it's there. So what it can do, you can program, right? You can program a contact, you can assign whatever campaign to a contact, and then if you do open your command every day, it will show you, like as you know, the control panel, like your main, panel, it will show you, hey, today you need to do this and this and that. Right? Today you need to call so-and-so, today you need to send this person a note call. It won't do it for you. Some campaigns will have that HTML, so it's going to send some kind of automatic, something. But the majority will be something of a reminder what you need to do. And that's what it's all about. So think about it as about your virtual assistant. So you walk into the office, sitting in a chair in the office, right? As you're sitting right now, your assistant comes to you and tells you today you need to do this. And you say, okay, and you do it. And then you move on. You know who does it?
Command does that?
Sure, but you know who actually does it regularly? Every person who makes $500,000 or more in real estate, that's what they do every single day. I'm not saying they're using command necessarily, but they show up every morning, go to the office, their assistant given the task for the day, or maybe they're really, that's like the 1%, they're extremely disciplined, they have their thing, they know exactly what to do. So they're their own assistants, they get a list and they do it. They're gonna spend a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours in the morning to do what they need to do, right? And then go have lunch, or go to their first location, and then the meetings, the appointments, the transactions, etc.
So that's why you said the purpose
Yes,
is systematic.
100%. If you have that ability to be purposeful, intentional, right? You have to have a plan, and then you're disciplined enough, aka you're systematic, you're gonna be successful. How successful? That depends, like how much repetitive, how intense you are about the activities that lead to success. But eventually it's gonna happen, because most people will drop, right? Go back to NAR statistics, not the best one, but 2 out of 10 US and C don't succeed, they don't last in the industry. It's because they're out of repetition, and for various reasons. So that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, doesn't the statistics. So 2 out of 10. So you have to do what it takes, right? That makes it, again, too easy. Because you have an assistant. And again, go back to any basic business rules 101. It's like you're hiring someone. And I have a lot of people working. It's like you're hiring someone, and then they know exactly what to do. Even if right now you close a few amazing deals and you set up X amount of money aside to be able to pay someone $20 an hour to be your assistant, part-time or full-time, even that doesn't matter, right? By the way, the best thing to do is whatever hourly rate multiplied by 2080, whatever hourly rate multiplied by 2080. That's the annual income or salary that this person will require, right? Even you, like if right now you're working for whatever job and you know the annually you're being paid X amount, divide by 2080 and see how much hourly rate you get, right? That's how we do it. So, if you do the math, by the way, so you want like, full-time assistant, 40, 50,000 a year, part-time, half rough, right? Or it can be even less, it's like only 4 hours a day. 3 days. You see what I'm getting with this? That's all in the plan and systems. So let's say you did that, and you're hiring someone that worked for 10 years for a different amazing realtor, or just looking for a change, and you're the best person that can next in their life. It doesn't mean that they'll do everything perfect for you. You don't know them, they don't know you. What's your system? what do you want? What do you need? Maybe they can also teach you and show you. Maybe they have great ideas. So my point is you have to have that sweat equity for a second to show them what to do. Back to this one, again, it's like cheating because you don't have to talk to them. They're just waiting for you to click a few buttons and it's already assigned. And they're going to guarantee, they're going to remind you every morning what you need to do. Right? We don't argue with you. They won't talk to you, right? They won't ask for a raise. It's a system, it's a CRM, it does everything for you.
Okay,
Make sense?
yes.
So have fun with it instead of rather than being intimidated by it or be complacent. If anything's gonna kill your business, is being complacent. Just wait for things to happen, right? That's why I always encourage people to be extremely uncomfortable. Every day that you're not uncomfortable enough, you're not breaking through, right? You only can break through if you're uncomfortable to some extent in business, okay? Any questions so far? Are you feeling a bit uncomfortable right now? Okay, so let's see if we skipped something, hold on.
Oh.
Okay, do you, in other sessions, do the instructors, do they do like a little role play or give you a few minutes to do some setup or whatever?
Each one is different.
No, okay, yeah, so I'm also giving you enough,
We have
you know.
questions, answers, we read from the Keller Williams script and it's just interactive.
great, okay, okay, so, let me see, okay, so that is for the next one. So let me, so let me just ask you, okay? So now it's us talking, right? Ask me questions. Yes.
What is the process when you have a buyer and they're getting pre-qualified? Is that something that we need to do as far as like guiding them through it, or is it something they do individually?
Perfect question. So who's your mentor?
Don't have one.
You probably have one. Touch base with Ed today.
Okay.
After the session, walk into his office and say, Ed, who's my mentor? Okay, because you have to, we launched almost a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, the new mentor coaching program. And Ed is the interim PC, just to kind of oversee the transition. And every new agent has a assigned producing agent in this office that they're your business partner, aka mentor for the first 3 deals. Okay. Second?
I'm gonna go find Ed too.
Yeah. If you came from a different company with transaction closed, you might not be required to be in the mentor program. However, if you want to, absolutely. Just to share with you again, I joined, I had 2 years in the business. I didn't do much, just some, a couple of referrals and then a couple of leases. And then and tons of open houses, but without any proper learning, I didn't have any of that. I joined KW. I took Ignite classes the first 3 months because the only thing I could do because I had a full-time job. And I opened my first escrow with a buyer 3 months in the system. In KW. And then I did 14 deals back to back, not including leases. And over 12 million in sales, and while I had a full-time job.
Wow.
Okay, because I had an awesome mentor. And after the first 2 deals, I'm like, I'm not ready to leave my full-time job yet. So we partnered, meaning I was okay to everything to be 50-50. Didn't expect her to give me everything 50-50 on her end. even though she did share with me a couple of deals, that was awesome, right? But that what led me to a year and a half to really master a lot of the aspects of real estate, like contracts, negotiations, of the scripts, etc. But like make it like very like generic, very like natural, not generic, just natural. And that's how I was able to afford to leave my full-time job and go full-time into real estate, right? So to my point, right, you can team up with someone any given time. Our program is very specific. Someone is like, he's here to be a business partner. So back to my point, that's what I was asking the question is, I will bring the business partner to the picture every step of the way to help you to convert. You don't know what you don't know. I want to learn from the best. So there are about, I think, a dozen, maybe more amazing producers here currently that are all mentors, great mentors. 100%, so if you have someone like, let's say, from work and looking to buy or whatever it is, hey, Joe, when do you have time for coffee or for a phone call? I want to have a conversation with my business partner, Joe, honestly, my mentor, or my business partner, John, and to talk about the next steps, okay? By the way, things are moving fast, and we have to make sure that you're set up properly, right, with the lender, etc. Because again, if you're not, there's no chance you can get anything in this market right now. So that's pretty much the conversation. And then set up a call or coffee or a meeting or whatever, maybe you can come over here. That's pretty, you can impress them with the president of the real office. That's what they're from there, right? Another follow-up question that you might ask, right, is okay, but I feel confident I can ask the right questions or what have you. I bet you do. Again, you don't know what you don't know. So if you have a chance to learn from someone who's high level, do this for many years, just do it. But you know what? It's not a coworker. It's my brother. Everybody applies. So don't discriminate. Like if you treat them properly the first time, then you're gonna treat the same way people that are not your close family member. Don't take anybody or anything for granted. Make sense? Is that helpful a little bit? Okay. What else? Other questions you might have?
I want to ask this question. My client wants to do a reverse mortgage. Parents want to do a reverse mortgage for the property. And I've spoken to them and told them I'll get back with them immediately.
Sure.
And
That's an easy one too.
I have the address of the property.
Yeah.
And what they give me the balance, and they're just ready to move forward.
Okay, so you're gonna go. I'm not sure. Usually here every day, Chris will get information from the front desk. Chris, hey, I have clients ready to go do a reverse mortgage. How do I go about it? Let me lead the way. Okay. Here, Dana drove here with a flat tire. She had 3 options.
Yes.
Option number 1, stop on the side, sleeve up, and the whatever
Yes.
ratchet, whatever you call that, from the trunk, and then replace the wheel. Number 2, she could drive down to the shop right away, let someone do it for her in the shop, give her $20 or whatever, call it a day, right? She didn't want to be late for the session, to appreciate it. So she leveraged, she got her number 1 assistant, aka husband, to come down here and do it for her, right? So she went for option number 2 and 3, which is leverage.
Yeah.
Let me just pay for the people that you can do it better than I, right? Or triple edge, same thing, leverage. That's one also we teach a big on that, is teaching you guys how to be a true business owner. It's an 80-20 rule. You want to focus on the 20%. Focus on the basic stuff that yield, bring you most of the results. That's the 80% of the results. That's what you need to do. We have a tendency to shy away, or whatever the reasons that it might be, to stay away from the big tasks and focus on the fluff, on the small things that waste our time. Why? Because it might be easier, more secure, less intimidating, etc. Right? More familiar. That's why I said, if you want to push yourself to be uncomfortable every single day, that's mostly by doing the big stuff that you don't really custom to.
speaking of pushing yourself to being uncomfortable, these 3 weeks that I've been in Ignite, the first week was fine, but the second week is when I was introduced to my mentor. And so she gave me a list of contacts, and I'm trying to do that 4 hours a day and come to Ignite 2 and the meeting on Wednesday. Boy, did I had to organize myself. One day I found myself coming into the parking lot an hour early, just so I could make some calls.
Yeah, so you can count with a K, yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
so, but I
That's
was
what it is.
achieving things. And then I'd go home and do whatever I had to do, start the calling at 3 to 6. I didn't get many people. Then I tried, it's like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. But I was doing things,
Yes, yeah.
productive things.
And that's great. It's also to show that you have good relationship, good chemistry with the mentor. Because look, really the secret is, and if you're gonna go and read, watch, study any successful, let's say, athlete, right? I'm talking about the new world. That's like in 1920, or maybe there was a fluke by then. It wasn't like science, right? There's more of a science. They're all being held accountable in extremely high level. If it's their routine, mindset, fitness, nutrition, rest, etc. Right? So think like, if you have like 6 coaches, every day you meet at least once with each coach about a specific thing.
Yeah, like Michelle said, if you, I forgot how she said, Gary Keller said it, if you have to miss one, you replace it with something else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it comes down to be uncomfortable, be comfortable to be uncomfortable, right? So if you
Right,
deliver
that's what,
X amount of whatever a week or a day or a month, you just need to meet your caveat. You have to meet your numbers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if he wants to make the shot, 200 times from a specific spot, then it's not going to get closer to that perfect shot every single day, 6 days a week for whatever time frame, right? Michael Jordan, well known for his quote. It says he missed more shots in his lifetime than he made successful shots. Like way more. He missed more than he scored, and he's still the best player in the world, right? Historically.
so you have a system.
He had a system, he was accountable, and he was focused on the output repetition. So it's not how much you score, it's how many times you're actually doing it. Repetition, right? What else?
This is good information. That red book, I'm reading it. I
Yeah.
started with the leads.
Yeah.
And I promised myself every night, no matter what, 15 minutes to read.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go more, but I just made a commitment
Yeah.
to continue to read. And also the time block. I'm not as good as the time block for the lead calling, because where I work at FedEx, I'm constantly talking about real estate.
Yeah.
So I just take that time to try to generate new people and just talk to all the drivers. And I get on their nerves, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's not a problem,
Here's a little tip about time blocking, right? If you want to be time blocking high level, you have to, and you can write it down if you want to, you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to be okay with being selfish, and then we're going to add to the benefit of others. Okay, you have to be extremely selfish for the benefit of others.
I'm laughing because this past week I've been selfish, bought food out for dinner
Sure.
all 5 days, because I keep reminding my husband, this is money, honey, this is money.
Well, it's funny, right?
And he said, okay, I'll go get it.
It's funny, happy, right? Martin,
Yeah.
no, it's good. It's nice to mix it up, but it's like, who has kids? Anybody has kids over here? Yeah, okay. So it's like, can you not let them brush your teeth in the morning, shower at least once a day, I guess, or take them to school when you have to drop them, or whatever it is, right? So like you this time, like you're gonna do it, right? Or make sure someone else is gonna do it. This time, like it's money time, it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're gonna attach it to someone or something that you really care for, grateful for, whatever your goal, the reason, the big why, right? Maybe you spoke about it at the very beginning of those sessions, like, well, what is a big why, pretty much. You want to be connected to that. So you're gonna show up and you're gonna say, I'm okay right now to ignore the rest of the world for me to have prime time to be able to deliver 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, because if not, everybody's gonna rob your time in seconds,
That's true.
right? Especially those who are closer to you.
That's true.
Now, it doesn't mean they're evil, right? But your kid will in 2 seconds gonna come and bug you, ask you questions, mommy this, mommy that, whatever, or siblings or parent, whatever that is, right? They don't mean harm, but that's why you have to be extremely selfish, and then this time is my time to do whatever I need to do to the greater goods.
That's true.
Okay? What else?
That's true that it's my big why has been reinforced since I've joined the mentor program, because we're pre-approved for a home, but it's not what I want. And with the situation being as it is, I said, honey, I've got to roll up my sleeves and really do it and help us all out here. We've
Sure.
got to do it. So it's a personal big why.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's something that's on both of our minds. And so that's why I've got such a passion now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a system. I've got to make those calls. Like, I can barely wait to get out of here so I can get back to my desk and start my calling.
Yeah, you're on a mission.
Yeah, it's a mission.
You're on a mission.
And this time, I'm gonna do what I'm told to do. I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, well, it's never too
Only
late.
because I have been in sales before, a different type of sales. And this is totally different.
Right.
I have to follow the formula. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
So make sure that you engage Ed to figure out who your mentor is. Check your emails as well, making sure that office emails, ads, whatever, don't go to spam, just in case. Like I go to my spam at least once a week, and I scroll through to see like if this is, and sometimes the email can like every day or whatever, then go to spam for whatever it is, right? So you wanna mark it as not spam, but check just in case, and then figure out who this business partner of yours is, and then take it from there. Okay? And of course, short classes, our sessions are being recorded. Put them on our channels on YouTube. On our YouTube, we're gonna start the recordings right now.
So this is being recorded, our nights, all that.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, everything's been recorded.
so that week I